She offered her seat to a father and son on the train. The millionaire, single dad CEO didn't leave her life after that. It was the kind of morning that felt like the whole world was in a rush. New York City, 7:40 a.m., winter wind slicing through the air, and subways packed to the brim. Lily Carter stood at the edge of the platform, her wool coat buttoned tight, clutching her thermos of lukewarm coffee. The train screeched into the station, doors sliding open to reveal a chaotic sea of passengers. She stepped in, barely squeezing into a corner seat by the window. The train jolted forward, and the rhythm of the tracks hummed beneath her feet. Lily was 29, single, and worked as an assistant at a publishing company. Life had been hard since her mother passed last year. She lived alone, juggled bills, and sent part of her paycheck to help her younger brother through college. She was one of those people who kept going, not because life was easy, but because giving up just wasn't an option. Halfway through the ride, the train stopped at 59th Street. More commuters poured in, among them a man holding a small boy's hand. The boy couldn't have been more than 5, bundled in a puffy blue jacket, his cheeks rosy from the cold. The man, tall, clean-shaven, and wearing a simple gray coat, looked around for a seat. None. The boy yawned, rubbing his eyes with tiny gloved fists. Without thinking twice, Lily stood up. "You two can sit here," she said gently, smiling down at the child. The man looked at her, a flicker of surprise in his eyes, then nodded with a quiet, "Thank you." The boy scrambled into the seat, and the man sat beside him, holding his son close. Lily moved to stand by the pole, holding on as the train rocked. She didn't expect anything in return. She didn't even expect to be noticed. It was just the right thing to do. But he noticed. A few stops later, the man tapped her arm. "Please, sit. My son fell asleep. He's small, I can hold him." She hesitated, then sat down on the edge of the seat, trying not to disturb the boy resting on his father's chest. "You have a kind heart," the man said, his voice calm and warm. Not many people would have done that. Especially in this city. Lily smiled, brushing her hair back. "It's just a seat." "It's not," he replied. "Not when it means so much to someone else." They talked, about the weather, the city, and the little boy, whose name was Jamie. The man introduced himself as Daniel. He didn't give a last name, and she didn't ask. Their conversation felt easy, like two strangers sharing a moment of humanity before going back to their separate lives. When the train reached Lily's stop, she waved goodbye and stepped off. She didn't look back. She assumed she'd never see them again. She was wrong. The next morning, as she walked into the publishing office, her manager called her aside. "Lily, someone sent a handwritten note for you. No return address." Puzzled, she opened the envelope. Inside was a simple message. "You gave up your seat without hesitation. Not many people do that these days. I'd like to thank you properly. Coffee, sometime. Daniel." Attached was a business card. Her eyes widened. Daniel Hartley, CEO. Hartley Tech Industries. She stared at the card. It couldn't be the same man. But it was. The kind stranger from the train, the single dad with gentle eyes, was one of the most powerful entrepreneurs in the country. She hesitated to respond. What would someone like him want with someone like her? But curiosity won, and a week later, they met for coffee. It wasn't a date. At least, not at first. They talked like old friends, about life, grief, parenting, dreams, and disappointments. He spoke of losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago and how raising Jamie alone had reshaped him. She told him about her mother, her brother, and her little dreams of one day writing a children's book. Weeks passed. Coffee turned into lunches. Then dinners. Then late-night phone calls and slow weekend walks through Central Park with Jamie holding both their hands. Daniel never flaunted his wealth. He was just present. Grounded. Real. Lily found herself smiling more. Laughing more. Living more. But she struggled, too, with doubt. She didn't belong in his world. At least, that's what she told herself. When he invited her to a gala for his foundation, she almost didn't go. But Daniel showed up at her door with a navy blue dress and a note, "You belong wherever kindness is valued. That means you belong with me." At the gala, Daniel introduced her not as a guest or acquaintance, but as someone who reminded me that the world still has good people. Lily was overwhelmed. That night, under the glow of city lights, Daniel held her hand and said, "You gave up your seat that day, and in return, gave me something I didn't even know I was missing, hope." Months passed. Their bond deepened, not because of the headlines or the money, but because of the little things: pancake Sundays, story time with Jamie, late-night writing sessions where Lily scribbled ideas while Daniel read beside her. One spring morning, Jamie ran into the kitchen holding a crayon drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands beneath a sun. "This is our family," he said proudly. Lily looked at Daniel, her eyes glistening. He smiled, leaned over, and whispered, "Let's make it official." He proposed not with diamonds or flash, but with a folded note that read, "The seat you gave up changed my life. Will you take this one beside me, forever?" They married in a small garden ceremony, with Jamie as the ring bearer. Lily's brother walked her down the aisle. Daniel's eyes never left hers. Years later, Lily's children's book, The Seat of Kindness, became a bestseller, inspired by her simple act on that crowded train. In interviews, when asked how her story began, she always smiled and said, "With 1 seat, and 2 hearts wide open." And in every classroom that read her book, in every parent who tucked their child into bed with her words, Lily's message echoed. Kindness doesn't cost a thing, but it can change everything. Moral: a single act of compassion, no matter how small, can open the door to life-changing connections. In a world rushing by, take a moment to offer your seat. You never know whose life you're stepping into.